Okay, well, hi everybody and welcome. My name is Marvin Jenkins. Some of you know me by my nickname Bunky, and I'm the coordinator for the Women's Business Center for Maryland Capital Enterprises. And we serve the Eastern Shore of Maryland, Baltimore City, Baltimore County, and Anne Arundel County. And the Women's Business Center, we aim to assist entrepreneur women who are either starting businesses or expanding their businesses. And we offer a lot of educational programs, trainings, consulting, counseling, as well as loan assistance. So we have a lot of different things we offer. And most of you have probably been on some of our webinars before. So I did put our website in the chat column. So hopefully you'll all visit it. And other than that, I'll send out an evaluation after the webinar. So we would appreciate it if you get that back to us. And without taking up any more time, I'm going to introduce Sophia Smecker. She's an independent marketing consultant, and she's worked with us for quite a few years, offering her expertise, and we're awful grateful for all the time that she puts into these webinars for us. So without taking any more time, I'll turn it over to you, Sophia.
Awesome. Thank you, Bunky. I actually don't see the website in the chat, but I can drop in the links. I'm on here now.
It's not in there?
No, I wasn't sure. Maybe, I don't know. It didn't come through to me. But
all right, well, I'll put it in there again.
Well, hi, everybody, and welcome. Like Bunky said, my name is Sophia. I'm an independent marketing consultant. I've worked with Maryland Capital Enterprises and the Women's Business Center for some time now, over the years. Was in-person classes and now recently transitioned to these virtual webinars, but they've been really great. There's been some good engagement and interaction and questions. And then in addition, the luxury of being able to tune in from your home or wherever you are is pretty nice. So I teach a class with them about once a month, all centered around marketing. So please definitely check out their website. They also have a bunch of other classes that they offer on a regular basis, and they're constantly updating. So lots of good stuff. But today we're going to talk about building your Facebook and Instagram presence, especially during, this time during the pandemic. A lot of folks are utilizing social media, the internet to get their information, to go shopping, pretty much, anything at this point. And Facebook and Instagram are really kind of the top two social media platforms that businesses are using to reach their customer base and then potential customer base. So during this session today, we're going to kind of talk about utilizing these channels in an efficient and effective way that kind of ladder up to your marketing strategy, ways to simplify your content management, and then also tips for creating a social media strategy. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'm going to be taking a break throughout to see if anybody has questions. You can feel free to either shout them out, or if you want to unmute yourself, or if you want to put them in the chat, you are more than welcome to. So let me find this real quick. Are you guys able to see this?
Yep.
Presentation?
Yes.
Looks good.
Thank you. Okay, perfect. All right, so building your Facebook and Instagram presence mid-pandemic. So thanks everybody for being here. Today's agenda, we are going to do a quick intro into Facebook if you're new to Facebook, or if you're just currently only using it for your business, or I'm sorry, for your personal use instead of your business use. I'll give an intro to Instagram, and then we'll talk a little bit about Facebook versus Instagram for business. And then lastly, creating a social media strategy. And this webinar and, kind of course, just like a lot of the ones that I host here, along with Maryland Capital Enterprises, a lot of, you guys on the webinar today are really kind of at different points when it comes to social media. So, whether you've been utilizing it for a while, or if it's something that's new to you, or you're just trying to get more strategic from like a business standpoint. So I really want to leave kind of a good bit of time at the end for questions. So you guys can kind of ask things that are specific to your business, or just, general questions that you think will help with your overall marketing and social strategy. But yeah, feel free to please ask any questions throughout. So intro to Facebook. So we'll kind of talk briefly about what Facebook is. And if you're under a rock, it is the #1 social media platform out there right now. So free social networking website, and it's allowing, for users to create profiles, upload photos and videos, send messages, and, in general, kind of to keep in touch with friends and family. But really kind of what it has turned into, as well, is a great platform for businesses to be able to share what they're doing as far as products they're selling, services that they're offering, and just overall sharing with their customer base and potential customer base, what they've got going on. So Facebook has 2.8 billion monthly active users. And it also allows businesses and users to kind of get updates on businesses and brands in general. News, whether it be real news and hopefully not fake news, which we've seen a lot going on social media. Public figures, celebrities, everybody's kind of on Facebook at this point. Events and more. And then another great feature of Facebook is being able to join groups to connect with others that are have like-minded interests as you. And the biggest thing about Facebook and what makes it very unique is Facebook's newsfeed. So a newsfeed, if you have a Facebook account, is where you log in, and it's the first screen you see, and it's basically every brand, business, friend, things that you've liked in the past or liked recently. They all kind of congregate and come up in your news feed. And Facebook is unique in the sense that Facebook has an algorithm for their news feed. So there's definitely a reason why you see a certain amount of things that you do in your news feed. And Facebook has an algorithm with over 1,000 different reasons why you can see things within your news feed. So you may realize sometimes that you see the same ad that pop up over and over again, or you see the same friend or aunt kind of posting. And right now, Facebook is very much pay to play. So a lot of businesses are really paying to advertise on Facebook so that they're able to get their content in front of the more people that they can. It used to be back in the day, everything that you posted was shared to your friends or people that liked your page. Now you're only seeing about 30% of the pages you actually like and the people that you're actually friends with. So we'll talk a little bit about strategy and how you can get in front of more folks' news feeds, but that's a little bit about what makes Facebook unique. So some of the functions of a Facebook business page: creating posts, you can share photos and videos, reviews. So over the past couple years, Facebook has become a really big outlet for online reviews. So, whether you are an online store, you have a physical location, there's an opportunity for folks to leave reviews about your business and kind of share what they think. Definitely great. It's another thing that if you're a business owner, to check as far as review platform. There's TripAdvisor, Yelp, Facebook, Google. So this is just kind of one more, but it does allow you to interact with folks that leave reviews, and it also helps more people to find your business. Also an opportunity for folks to direct message you. So send messages directly into your business page. And one of the big things about this is it's another customer service platform for your business. So a lot of businesses that don't even have a phone line, a phone number for someone to call. A lot of times they're utilizing email and Facebook. So direct message is definitely one of the big functions here. I see Michael had a question. Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, so I had a question about the post, and let me, there we go. I've used, I have a Facebook business page, and I've used it for many years, but I've come to the conclusion that it seems that if you may post an announcement or post some news or post some videos or photos on your business page, Facebook seems to turn that around in minutes or seconds and tell you, well, you can boost this post by paying us some money. And
they definitely want that money.
and I've always wondered, how many people actually see that post who like my business page or follow my business page, or is it just something for them to use to collect money from you to boost that post?
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit about this in a few minutes, but the biggest thing with social media in general, and if we're thinking in terms of this algorithm, Facebook really wants to push out content that you as a user are most likely to engage with. So if you see, you'll log into Facebook and you see kind of the same thing over and over again, we kind of consider that a piece of like viral content. Or, if you're talking to your friend and they say, oh, I saw this on Facebook, and you're like, yeah, I saw that pop up too. The reason why Facebook keeps serving content like that is because it's engaging. So they are seeing that the more people that are commenting, liking, and sharing with it, aka kind of engaging with the post, the more that they're going to send it out to others. And one of the ways that you can get engagement is having a large following. But it is tough as a business nowadays to get a large following on Facebook, especially the fact that only about 30% of the businesses and friends that you like are actually seeing your content. So that's why Facebook is really kind of encouraging businesses to pay to boost and promote their posts, because they guarantee that it will get in front of more eyes. But for us, being small business owners and not having kind of a large budget, it's important for us to create content that's engaging, that's going to be shared out. And our friends and fans that like the page are going to interact with it. And then there's some other tricks for getting posts in front of the eyes of your followers, which we can talk about in a little bit. But they definitely want you to pay to play on Facebook, and they'll always have that boost the post kind of business option up there. But does that kind of answer your question? Or
yes, yeah, thank you. And I'll have a follow-up question perhaps later, but yeah. I just wondered if you compare business pages to community pages or group pages, and how they differ later on.
Yeah, I can address that now, because we're talking about the functions of a business page. So the only other things that I didn't cover on this slide are events. So being able to post your business's events on your business page, and then advertising. So we talked a little bit about that to your question, Michael, about paying to play and advertising to folks that like your page, or reaching new audiences so that you can sell a product, you can get someone to engage in your post, say that they're going to come to your event or whatever. The difference between a business page and kind of a group kind of community page is that right now you are only allowed to kind of interact in community groups as a personal user. So like you can go in as a business owner. So like, for example, I live in Lewis, Delaware. So there's a Lewis community group that I'm a part of. So, if you lived in Lewis and you were part of this group, you would be able to go in and post as a business owner. But a lot of these community groups have guidelines that businesses are not able to go in and kind of solicit and post. So it really just kind of depends on the business and like kind of what the group and kind of what their restrictions are. And then does that kind of answer your question about the difference between the business page and a group?
Yes, and I have both of those also, and I guess some of those groups and community pages have to be to join. You have to be approved by the group moderator.
Yeah.
And
So then I think a lot of times, if it's like, so I think for you, Michael, you're a travel organization, correct?
correct.
Yeah, so I think for you would have been able to create that community group as like the organization, like owner or leader, owner or whatever. And then folks could join that. Is that correct?
Yes, in fact, as a real world case study, I do
Yep.
have a Facebook group called the Delmarva Travel Club.
Yep.
And I just started it about 6 months ago. So if you have any tips or ideas on growing that group membership, let me know, and I'll be glad to do that.
Yeah, sounds good. And I think that's the biggest thing is that for groups, you are able to create a group as like a moderator and like as an individual. But if you wanted to share information out as a business, then you'd have to share it on your business page. So I'm not sure if groups are kind of for everybody on here. It really just kind of depends on like what your business is. But groups are great because they're, we typically see a little bit more interaction within groups. So, it's somebody is choosing to like join that group, and a lot of times they're kind of engaging more, responding more. And groups are a little bit more like personalized. So for example, Michael may share on his travel Facebook page, we have this like trip coming up, is anybody kind of interested or whatever. If he has a group, so if he is the moderator and kind of owner of that group as like the owner of this like business, this travel association, he may get more engagement with his group because they're people that have chosen to participate and sign up to be like a part of that group. So I don't know if that makes sense or anybody has any questions about that. I think a lot of times groups are more for like community and culture. So travel definitely falls in line with that. Whereas some of the businesses that may be on here, are more geared towards selling their products and services. So a group may not be a good fit for them. It really just kind of depends on what your business is. And if you're able to kind of build up a community of followers. So like, for example, a brewery may create a community group for people to participate in and talk about beer. And that may, be something that works really well, but a restaurant may not, because it's not very specific. It would be very specific to their individual organization instead of like food as a whole, kind of in general. So it really just kind of depends on like what your business objectives are. But I'll keep going through. So we've got here, wanted to talk a little bit about advertising. So you'll see here, Michael asked the question about boosting posts and advertising. So I wanted to show some examples of ads that I have seen recently. So you'll see one here, Adobe Photoshop. And you'll always know what an ad looks like when you see the sponsored at the top. So pretty much the kind of the structure of an ad is you have the business that is sponsoring the ad. You've got a sponsored kind of note at the top. Your caption, so kind of whatever you would like to caption. And usually, as with marketing in general, this is very much your call to action of like what you are trying to do. Whether it's sell a product or a service, get someone to sign up for something. And then each of these ads, you can see at the bottom, have that call to action button that's going to take them to a website so that this user can complete whatever that call to action is that they were kind of hoping for. So for Photoshop, it's learn more. And then for this Try the World box, it's sign up to become a subscription member. But these are just some examples of the ads. And the one on the right is a video ad, and the one on the left is just an image ad. So that's a little bit about Facebook. Anybody have any questions, just general questions about Facebook before we jump into Instagram? All right, so jump into Instagram. So Instagram is recently, in the past like 10 years, owned by Facebook. So Instagram is the second largest social media platform out there, next to Facebook. So it's a free social networking website used for sharing photos and videos. There's over 1 billion people registered. And this is a really, highly visual social outlet. So this is, Instagram is really meant for sharing beautiful, photos and videos and images. There's an opportunity to share stories and reels. So stories are within your story tab up at the top of Instagram, and they are posts that go away within 24 hours. And then reels are kind of like TikTok, if you've heard of TikTok, but they're kind of compilations of videos, and you can be really, really creative with them. A kind of fun fact about Instagram, 90% of people on Instagram follow a business. Instagram is used a ton by social media influencers. So these are people that, have a social following. So individuals that have a really large social following, and they have businesses that sponsor them. And they give them, either money, gift cards, free swag and gear, so that they will talk about your product to their audience. So really interesting, the social influencers coming out of the growth of Instagram. So Reels, we talked a little bit about that. So Reels is a feature that Instagram added about a year ago. And like I said, it gives you an opportunity to create some really fun videos. So there's a platform that's been pretty big in the past year called TikTok. And this is basically a kind of a knockoff or inspiration of TikTok videos. So you can create, really short kind of 30-second clips that are like fun videos that you can share on Instagram, and they are specific to Instagram only. And then Instagram stories, like I said, so that's the story tab up at the top. And you can share these stories, and they live within that story tab for 24 hours. And then you can also have them live on an archive on your profile. And to be honest, I really look at stories a ton. I utilize Instagram the most out of all the social media platforms. And I use Instagram stories a ton because, most of the time it's, really like short, videos, or it's a really quick photo that it's only going to be there for 24 hours. So it makes you a little bit more enticed to check out what's up there since it's only there for a limited amount of time. So any questions on Instagram? Cool. All right, so we're about halfway through. So we'll talk a little bit about, why to use social media marketing. So number one, the biggest reason is increasing brand awareness. So, if we are most likely, all of us on here are on at least one social media platform. And if that's true, and we've got, over 1 billion people on Instagram, for example, your customers and potential customers are definitely utilizing social media. It's a great way for you to be able to create brand awareness so that folks can learn about your business or your organization. There's also an opportunity to build engaged communities. So Michael talked a little bit about groups. The biggest thing too is really putting out content that kind of builds these communities and fans of your brand and business that are engaged, right? They want to check in and see the new products and services that you're putting out. They want to know kind of what you're doing. They want to know what your employees are doing. And they're just kind of really engaged and tuned in with your business. And social media is a great way to do that because there's really no shortage of content that you can put out on social media. There's also opportunities to sell your products and services. So there may be some businesses on the call that utilize online like e-commerce. So you can sell, your products and services directly on, Facebook and Instagram if you like, or you can drive people over to your website. So pretty seamless if you're like an online business. Or there's other, call to actions. For example, if you're a restaurant, somebody may place a to-go order via social media, or they may create a reservation, for a dinner via social media. Measuring brand sentiment through social listening. So social listening is really kind of tracking, analyzing comments, and being, in tuned with any sort of engagement that you're getting in through your social channels. So whether it be kind of comments and reviews or direct messages, you're able to kind of measure your brand sentiment and what folks are thinking about your business via social listening and being tuned into what you're seeing on social media. We talked about a little bit about customer service, being able to respond to messages and to be able to respond to reviews. And then additionally, that pay to play, utilizing your advertising dollars to reach new audiences. So Facebook versus Instagram for business. So we'll talk a little bit about demographics, engagement rates, functionality, reporting, and advertising. So let's see. So kind of starting with demographics. So 76% of businesses use Facebook versus 65% that are using Instagram. So a lot of businesses are on both Facebook and Instagram, but we're seeing most businesses that kind of opt for Facebook. And the reason being is because Facebook is a little bit easier and it allows a little bit more functionality. So, jumping down to functionality here. So, you're able to share events, you're able to share announcements, you're able to post videos and photos, you're able to advertise, whereas Instagram is very much photo heavy. So unless you have a business that is very photo centric, Facebook may be where you kind of want to stick to. So for example, if you own a plumbing business, that might be one where, Facebook is probably good for you, because Instagram, your business is not super Instagrammable if you kind of know what I mean there. Not being able to share a ton of super engaging, photos or videos unless you're super creative about it. So different functionality. And then going back to demographics, Instagram definitely has a younger audience versus Facebook. So Instagram is definitely used right now by 30-year-olds and up. Definitely some younger millennials and Gen Z on there. But mostly Instagram is definitely kind of that like younger audience compared to Facebook. So Facebook is really used by mostly kind of 30 and older. And we've definitely seen over the past 10 years a rise in older demographic utilizing Facebook. So I don't know if you guys maybe are like me, where I've seen like my like mom now has a Facebook, my grandma, like everybody kind of has like a Facebook now, whereas Instagram is kind of still for that younger audience. And those are the top two. But there's definitely other social outlets like TikTok, like we talked about, that there's even a younger demographic on there. Engagement rates. So we are seeing more engagement via Instagram. It's a little bit easier for folks to kind of scroll through and like and comment on pictures and check out stories on Instagram than it is versus Facebook. And especially if you've been on Facebook for a while, you may have seen, your engagement rates drop a little bit. I think a lot of folks are spending more time on Instagram, and there's definitely stats that show that more users are kind of consuming and spending more time on Instagram via spending that time on Facebook. Therefore, there's a little bit more in engagement. But then, kind of going back to functionality, although there's more engagement, Facebook definitely has different functionality that Instagram does not have. Reporting. So there is a ton of reporting options within Facebook. So being able to see, how many likes you have, your engagement rates, times that people are spending on your page, your like demographic base. It's a little bit less insightful as far as Instagram goes. It's a little bit less reporting as far as Instagram goes. So that's something to be mindful for those folks that are really kind of wanting to see that those analytics and insights. And then lastly, advertising. So there's definitely advertising available for both Facebook and Instagram, and especially now, Facebook is an owner of Instagram. But there's definitely more options to advertise within Facebook. So you may see advertisements pop up within the right hand side of your like desktop. You may see them pop up when you're reading news, that like a news pop up on Facebook. You may see it in direct messages. So there's a lot more placement opportunities within Facebook than there are within Instagram. But there's definitely more that are being built. And I think the last thing I want to say about Facebook versus Instagram is that, Facebook is kind of very informational, right? It's about, hey, this is, the product or service I'm selling, or I'm having this event, or, my friend just had a baby or whatever. And Instagram is kind of more about capturing those moments, those special moments, utilizing photography and videography. And for example, we talk about informational versus kind of those special moments, or kind of moments in general. Facebook is a place that you would go to leave a review for a business, or you would go to find out the business hours. Whereas Instagram is kind of where you're going to see, does this shoe store have a new product, or is there a picture of it, or is there a new picture of a restaurant special? So different kind of functionality and uses. And I think all of that's important kind of as you're thinking about which platform you'd like to be on, or which platform you want to spend the most time on, because you only have, all of us being marketers, business owners, whatever representatives of your business, we only have a certain amount of time. So really just kind of depends which ones the right for you, and which one's the most efficient for spending your time. Michael, I saw you had your hand up. Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, Sophia, I was wondering, what shops do Facebook and Instagram have? Like,
I know.
can you create a shop or a store on these
Yeah.
platforms?
So Instagram, and there may be some folks that have an e-commerce business that you'd be able to jump in. But Instagram and Facebook, they have integration with different online stores. So I know like Etsy is one, and if your online store uses like a Shopify plugin, so you can actually shop for items, and it'll kind of integrate with your website. So you're kind of purchasing, it looks like you're purchasing it off of Facebook, but it's really integrating with your website, and it's through your own payment processing. So if you kind of scroll through Instagram, you may see on certain brands that there are like shoppable links where you can click in and be able to purchase something right from Instagram or Facebook. Did that answer your question?
Yes, and I'd like to follow up with you. I know
Yeah.
you probably do consulting for a fee, and would like to learn more about that perhaps after this class later
Sure.
this month or next month.
Sounds good. All right, well, we'll keep rolling through. So we'll talk a little bit about creating your social media strategy. So talking about outlining your goals, tactics, and metrics. Bridget, sorry, you have a question? Is it Brigitte? Sorry.
It's Brigitte.
Brigitte, sorry. I did not get that right. Brigitte.
Fine. When it comes to like Facebook and Instagram, I don't know if you heard that Instagram is actually paying people who go live. Like if you have a lot, like you're building your account, when you go live, constantly, right? They do pay you, a couple of dollars to go live. I'm not sure if you were aware of that.
No, I haven't heard that. I'm not surprised though. I think a lot of times, like when Instagram will release a new feature, or a feature that they just kind of want to promote more, they will pay like users with like accounts with pretty big followers to utilize those features so that it gets in front of more of an audience. So like, for example, when they like launched Reels, they were like paying large brands like like Patagonia and like Nikon and Disney to create Reels, so that it would kind of create a buzz around them for people to be able to utilize them and kind of learn more about what they are. So I'm not surprised about that for the lives.
Yeah, so like for the businesses, it's actually, that's how you would probably want to engage with your customers a little bit more. I mean, I guess, and earn some money, I guess.
Yeah, it's interesting. I haven't seen that. So it's I wonder if maybe they're probably just reaching out to like larger brands, or I'm not sure how they target that, but that's interesting. We'll talk a little bit about the steps for creating your social media strategy, right? So we talked about the difference between Facebook and Instagram, and kind of figuring out which platform may be best for you, or which platform may be best for spending your time. So these are kind of the 8 steps in creating your social media strategy. And I'll send this over to Bunky so that you guys have this as well afterwards, so you can refer back to it. But we'll talk about these 8 individual steps. So starting number 1 with establishing your goals. So it really just depends kind of on what your business objective is. And that's kind of how you are going to define what your social media goals are and how you are going to measure those goals. And if you kind of have any sort of business plan or marketing plan, your social media plan should really ladder right up to your marketing or business plan of what you're trying to do. So these are kind of like the top 4 different business objectives of kind of what you're trying to accomplish with your business or your organization. So you may be trying to grow a brand, turning your customers into advocates, driving leads and sales, improving customer retention. And you may have a mix of all of these different objectives. So if for example, kind of with the first one, so business objective, growing the brand. So then your social media goal would be awareness. So that would mean that your metrics that you're looking at are the amount of followers you're getting, the amount of shares you're getting on individual posts or videos, so that you are kind of amplifying your business's voice and you are creating more awareness of who you are. So kind of illuminating, as it says here, your current and potential audience. Looking at another one, so we're talking a little bit about turning customers into advocates. So engagement would be, your number 1 social media goal here. So the metrics kind of show how audiences are interacting with your content. So that means you would be measuring things like comments on your post, likes on your post, reactions, mentions, etc. And then going down the line, we would look at things like, website clicks, email signups, and then for improving customer retention. This is for kind of more mature businesses, but testimonials, social media sentiment, and then your average response time, how you are, how quickly you're replying into direct messages. So that's kind of the number 1, step for your social media strategy, is really kind of defining and establishing what those actual goals are. You can't measure success unless you first defined, what those goals are. The second would be learning about your audience. So these are really kind of important things, and as business owners or representatives of your organization, this is super important as you're thinking about kind of marketing in general and who you're selling your products and services to. So these are kind of the top 4 things to learn about your audience. So demographics, meaning, age, gender, occupation, income, family status, education. So learning, who your current audience is on social media, or who your current customer base is. And Facebook has a great insight tool to be able to learn about that. Or you may have some other data within your website, or just kind of knowing your customers in general. Geographics, local, regional, national. Psychographics, things that like interests, values, opinions, attitudes, lifestyles. And then the last would be behavioral. So, purchase behavior, how often someone is, your customer or potential customer is purchasing your kind of product or service. If it's occasion based, maybe they're only, purchasing it for a special occasion, and customer loyalty. So for example, Michael has his travel business, and I don't want to get too in depth, but if we're thinking about his audience, and he may say yes or no here, but just using it as an example, his demographics may be men and women of a certain age, because they have a higher income level, and maybe they have a particular, family status. Maybe, maybe he's kind of targeting a lot of retirees. Geographics, maybe he only wants to focus on the Delmarva region to sell his services to. Psychographics, so like what kind of interest, this is important when it comes to travel. So do they want a more relaxed vacation or trip? Do they want something with a lot of activity packed in? And then lastly, behavioral. So when would someone kind of purchase a trip or commit to a trip with like Michael's group? So that would be, maybe annually or maybe more frequently, depending on the income level or their interest level. So learning kind of about your audience is important kind of as you're thinking about the next step for your social strategy. I'm going to keep rolling through, just I want to make sure we have time at the end for questions. But the next step here is competitive analysis. So it's also important to take a look at your competitors. So whether that be locally, regionally, nationally, depending on what kind of business you are and who you serve. So I would take a look at things like the social media channels they're on, what kind of content they're uploading and sharing out to their audience, who's kind of engaging and interacting with them, and then kind of what does that engagement look like? For example, if you are a business that is selling online products, you may see that your competitor is doing really, really well on Instagram, but you're specifically focused on Facebook. So there may be more of an opportunity there. And you may see that, they're really reaching a younger audience that you had wished, you were. So all of these kind of things are important to kind of look at and to kind of do a competitive analysis, just as we would if you're creating a business plan or kind of a marketing plan. This is very specific to social media. A social media audit. So, we talked about it's hard to know where you're going unless you know where you kind of came from and what your goals are. So after defining your goals, one thing I think it's important to do is to do a social media audit of your current channels. So, what's working, what is not, who's engaging with you, what kind of comments are they leaving? Are you getting shares? Are you getting likes? And then really kind of looking, at your social channels and seeing, am I reaching any sort of goals that I set for myself? Am I benchmarking against those goals? Like, am I reporting? And you may not be yet. But I think all of these things are important to think about. It's important to know, where you are at currently as you're thinking about moving towards the future and creating this strategy. And then setting up accounts. So this is for if you are new. So learning kind of which accounts are right for your business. So we talked about this already. If you are already on social media, I would definitely at least quarterly, set a reminder for yourself to make sure that all the information in your account are accurate. So I would take this even a step further. And if you are on Yelp, TripAdvisor, any sort of online platforms, there's so many businesses out there that have the wrong times, hours of operation, or they got a new website and they just haven't updated everywhere. So if you're not new, this is super important. If you are new, it's still super important. So make sure you have accurate information, because people are really utilizing social media as like a phone book, at this point, trying, yellow pages, like trying to get all the information that they can. And then additionally, looking into page roles. So I know there's a lot of businesses out there that have multiple people that manage accounts. So making sure if somebody left your business, that they don't have access to your account anymore, or that the right people have access to your account. And then finding inspiration. So, we talked about so far, learning who your audience is, setting goals, taking a look at yourself by doing a social media audit, checking out competitors. Now it's kind of time for you to find inspiration. So a couple of different places you can look. If we talk about competitors, it's definitely important to know what your competitors are doing, which we talked about a little bit already. But it's also important to know that like what kind of content they're sharing, because you definitely don't want to replicate and kind of copy what your competitors are doing. But honestly, looking at your competitors, whether they be direct or indirect, may give you inspiration for things that you could be doing differently. And then in addition, looking at, your favorite brands and businesses, and really thinking about when you're, it's 8 o'clock at night and you're laying on the couch scrolling on your phone, what kind of businesses are you interacting with? And why are you interacting with that content? Why are you finding that engagement? And kind of taking a look at your habit and maybe your friends and family's habits, and finding inspiration that way. And then additionally, you can find inspiration outside of your industry. I think that's where the most inspiration comes from, is finding information and inspiration of content that, like, for example, if you are selling dresses, look at food companies, CPG companies, see what kind of content they're sharing, because you may find inspiration in all different kinds of spaces. And then creating a content calendar. So staying organized. So I think this is really, really important, and you can utilize any sort of content or any sort of calendar that's that you have available to you, whether it be a Word document, your calendar in your phone, your agenda, like a planner, but really kind of thinking about when you're posting. So what kind of content are you posting? How frequently are you posting, the times you're posting, and then the responsibility. So who is posting it? So, there may be organizations on here where you have multiple people that are posting. If you're able to kind of put this all together in a content calendar, you can look at your content at a kind of a larger scale. So, looking at content from maybe like a 30-day perspective, and really seeing, how do all these kind of focuses align and like ladder up to what my social media goals are. And then measuring success. So, we talked about setting up goals. So these are a couple things that may be important for you to measure depending on what your social media goals are. So page likes, the amount of folks that are liking or following your business, reach. So how many users you are reaching on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. Engagement. So in terms of likes, shares, comments, reactions, etc. And then Facebook is a really great insights tools that allows you to see when users are online and following your page, and the demographics about that audience. So I'm going to stop there. I know we only have a few minutes, but I'm going to stay on longer if people have questions. If not, definitely thank you for being here. I know we went a little bit over, but we answered some questions throughout. And I do have another upcoming webinar with Maryland Capital Enterprises. This one is on Wednesday, September 15th at 6:30. It's building your social media marketing plan mid-pandemic. So we talked a little bit about the end here, the social media strategy. So we're going to talk a little bit more and get a little bit more in depth talking about your actual social media plan. So helping you kind of define what your goals are, creating engaging content, talk a little bit more about content calendars. So getting a little bit more in depth into that last half of what we talked about today when we talked about strategy. So hopefully you guys can make it. And you can sign up right on Maryland Capital Enterprises website. And then I will stop and I will unshare my screen in case anybody has any questions. Thank you guys for being here.
Anybody have any questions?
And I'll send this over to you, Bunky, so you can send it out to the group.
Okay. We got Robin's got her hand or got a thumbs up.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sophia.
Yeah, you're welcome. I know Bunky also is going to be sending out a evaluation form, correct, Bunky?
Yes, I'll send out an evaluation along with the information that you want me to send with it. And
Yeah,
appreciate it if you would, send them back to me because, we do use those, the information that we get from those. So it's really important.
So Sophia,
yeah,
how
and
do we,
I
how
would
do we
love to
follow up?
hear. Oh, I was just gonna say, I'd love to hear if there's other kind of content that you guys would like, or other different kinds of webinars and things like that that are marketing related. So please feel free to fill that out. But I'm sorry, go ahead, Michael.
Well, how do we follow up with you? With your,
I will
with your
put,
consulting work?
yeah, I will put I just have a Gmail. It's just pretty simple, but I'll put my Gmail email address in the chat, so you should be able to see that now. So yeah, I do independent consulting. So in terms of workshops, I can do kind of hands-on training. Really just kind of depends, or taking a look at social media plans, or just kind of general brainstorming. And if anybody has any like quick questions, I always say that because you were on this webinar today, and I appreciate the time that you spent here. If you ever do have any questions, feel free. I'm a resource. I'm always available and happy to help. But yeah, shoot me an email, Michael. I'd be happy to
Okay.
chat with you a little bit more and learn about what you're doing.
We'll do it. We're getting ready for 2022.
Yes, let's get back to normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, really. Still got your friend with you, Michael?
No, he's sleeping now.
Oh, okay.
Oh, tired.
I'll make sure I tell Lisa.
Yeah, please do.
Okay, if nobody's got anything else, thank you, Sophia.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it. And it looks like this time, I think maybe has worked for people, Bunky.
Yeah, it looks like it.
I'll let yeah, we can let Lisa know. Maybe if 4 o'clock is better than like the 5 o'clock that we've been doing.
Okay, I will do that.
Thanks,
Okay.
everybody. Stay cool. Have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, everybody.